got the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Van, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a new river thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite.
Hey, good morning. How are you? See, it's Manic Mondays, so there's Susanna Hoff. Hope everybody's doing all right wherever you might be. Uh-oh, I'm not going to get to it in time. There we go. It started to repeat. How was your weekend? We had warmth, which was nice. Not going to be so warm next weekend. Cold, actually. We're not quite ready. I guess we just have to wait till we get to April. And then we're just going to have to just say then it's finally here. Because 50s is high, maybe 50 degrees high next Saturday. But it was okay this weekend. We're in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament, and I'm here to officially proclaim that we don't even have to wait for the addition of more teams. I believe the NCAA tournament is just about dead. For the second straight year, we have a Sweet 16 made up of nothing but majors, keeping in mind that the Big East is considered a college basketball major. We don't have any exciting Cinderellas since High Point was eliminated. We don't have anyone that can grasp the imagination of the underdog. Don't call Texas an underdog. They're not. They're an 11 seed in the SEC with arguably the richest athletic department in America. So this tournament is chalk once again. And whether you want to look at pay for play, by the way, when are people going to stop calling things NIL? They're just kind of like robots. People they just keep using that term. And it's gotten to the point now where it's just annoying. NIL is called name, image, and likeness. What's happening in college sports has nothing to do with name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness means you recruit someone and then they go out and make deals because of their name, image, and likeness, and they get the money for it. Not paying players to pay. Can we someone at least get modernized and update the term when you're talking about it? The era of NIL. No, the era of pay for play. It has officially, I think, now affected the NCAA tournament back-to-back years. And here we are. Here we are. From the 2006 Hokey Bones J.C. Price has in his body. Don't you think the way Virginia Tech community couldn't find him a slot is awful shoddy? BDST is alive as Sasquatch. Yeah, we're going to work on trying to get JD on here. Or JC on here. I'd like to get him back on the show. We got Phil Elmassian and Todd Grantham joining us. 8 ACC teams made the field. There's one left, Duke. So the league's getting kind of taken to the woodshed last night and today. And we've had some good games, I guess, but the magic of the tournament is gone. I believe the magic of the tournament is gone. And you can call it what you want, and you can look at all the reasons why. I don't know. I'm sure the pay for play has something to do with it, but we now have nothing but major teams playing going forward. And we might get some entertaining contests. I'm sure we will. But at the same time, what has made the Cinderella story is over. In college basketball. So there we go. And we'll get your thoughts on the ACC. What has been highlighted more than anything is the atrocity of college basketball officiating. The reviews, and let me know if you feel like this. I was thinking about it. They get highlighted more in this tournament setting, right? But don't you feel like the constant reviews of whatever it might be, and this whole thing of making the official stars like they did in the NBA by putting them on the mic and looking at the camera, are we now to the point to where that is just altering the games too much? I mean, I want the calls to be right. But we went a century in sports without replay. And just the way that it's handled and how long it takes, how much it interrupts the game. This ain't it. This, They won't, but they need to be able to pay for the fact that they just have people at every game now. And their whole job is to say, okay, that we just reviewed that and you need to change this to that. Instead of the officials going over, kind of like what the NFL has tried to do with New York, looking at everything and then they buzz down. But this whole thing of stopping the game for 3 to 5 to more minutes. And then when they look at something like the UVA play against Tennessee late in that game, which basically cost UVA the game or helped Tennessee seal the deal, when the ball clearly bounced off of a Tennessee player's head, it did not touch the Virginia player's hands. The ball never changed trajectory, but they kept the call as it was made on the floor, saying, hey, we couldn't tell. This is after they took 5 to 7 minutes. I mean, we had human error for a century, and the games flowed. And yeah, there have been egregious calls that have been made and things that have been missed, but there are still plenty of calls not being overturned, even after we alter the flow of the game. And I'm just pushing out random thoughts from the weekend. Just watching. Your thoughts? Football staffs can now designate 16 staff members for off-campus spring recruiting. In other words, going around letting people know how much money you have. Yeah, one step closer to doing whatever you want to do. Yep. High Point did. That was my last rooting interest, I think, in terms of the underdog. High Point almost made the Sweet 16. They were fun. I reached out to Flynn, sent him a text, congratulating him. It's hard to watch Pitino, great coach, but what a greaseball. He is a great coach. He is. Rick Pitino is a great coach. You had whatever was going on between Iowa and Florida, between the two coaches. Florida, the first number one, eliminated. Don't know how your bracket looks. But what do we have now next week? We got Texas and Purdue. Iowa and Nebraska. Big Ten battle. Arkansas, Arizona, Illinois, and Houston. Then next Friday, St. John's and Duke. It'll be a good game. Alabama, Michigan, Michigan State, UConn, Tennessee, Iowa State. That's your Sweet 16. Officiating is even worse than the NFL. It is bad, isn't it, Tebow? It's really bad. What has happened to college basketball officiating is this. They no longer call what they see. They call what their routine flex reaction is. You'll see guys that make plays on balls, but because he reached, he had to have fouled him. Or because of where the body angles are, oh, that has to be a foul. And then they'll show it, and it's not. And they've been showing that a lot during this tournament. They call things, guys driving to the basket, that they aren't fouled, but they call it a foul. Just because, well, there's no way they could have rejected that ball, or there's no way he didn't score. It has to be a foul. They don't call what is seen. They're calling what they just routinely, because of repetition, feel like they have to call. If that makes sense. And they've done a pretty good job of highlighting some of these. CBS coverage has been terrible. The studio show is an absolute joke. Why they put Nate Burleson there is beyond me. Oh, well, we know why. There's an agenda behind that show. But at least the announcers are calling out, Dan Bonner in particular, calling out some of these calls that should not have been made. And then they go to the video, and then we're sitting there waiting, and it's just they've made the referees even bigger stars and egomaniacs than they are. By the way, every member of that studio team that I'm talking about have strongly orated their political views. And when they work for CBS, so the beat keeps going on. But it's terrible. It's terrible. I think the game coverage has been pretty good. But you sit and watch these games. The games are at least 15, 20 minutes longer than they used to be. And here we are going through all the challenges. And it's become football. It's just become way too over replayed. And at first, I was all excited about when replay was the technology and we were going to make sure we don't get any calls wrong. And I was so excited about that as a few years ago, all this started to materialize. And now I just wish it would go away. I mean, I'm at the point to where it should only be used scoring plays or plays at a certain time of the game. Let's just stop reviewing everything. Can we just stop? Can we just go back and let human error, let it just come back and be part of our games? And it allowed us to sit around the water cooler the next day and talk about how bad the officiating was. Because you think about it, a lot of the times they're going through all the dog and pony show, and then they don't change the call anyway. There's no guarantee replay is even going to change the call. It has to be indisputable evidence. And after the UVA play, when the ball clearly bounced off the Tennessee player's head and they didn't change it, I'm just like, this is stupid. This is just stupid. But we have a Sweet 16 again of nothing but majors. There's not going to be any upsets going forward. You're going to have some higher seeds lose, but when you have power teams playing power teams, there aren't really any true upsets. And this is what the NCAA wants. This is what the networks, I don't know whether they want this or not, but, I guess I'm sure the ratings are really good. And this will be used once again to punish the little guy, to punish the non-major leagues. Well, look at that. I mean, they'll ignore High Point, how close they were to going to the Sweet 16 because they didn't make it. Look at that. We got nothing but power schools once again. We heard all the crap during the football playoff, how Tulane and JMU didn't deserve to be there. Maybe they didn't. That's an argument for another day, but I'm just talking about the overall, what it added to the playoff, the hope that it gave schools that don't have the budget or the pay-for-play resources that these other schools have. So that got shot down. There are people writing articles and coaches in power leagues saying this is why you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be that way now in college basketball. When they expand it next year, it's just going to allow more majors into the tournament. My buddy said his bracket was so bad, he was pretty sure he picked a team from the wrong sport. So, yeah, here we are, Sweet 16 of ho-hum for me. Because I'd like to have one. I was really pulling for High Point because of the Big South connection. I was really hoping they'd pull that off. They didn't. But, boy, they were close. They were really, really close. And, it does bum me out that the ACC has failed in this tournament too. I was kind of hoping to see some, even Virginia. You kind of knew Duke was going to but not there. Not there. And I love they got 8 teams in because they deserved it this year, right? The net was good, and now everybody's ragging on them because they only have 1 team left. Okay. I mean, how many of the games were blowouts, right? I don't know. I haven't looked off the top of my head. But I think they were pretty competitive, right? Going through, you could go through team by team. I mean, Carolina blew the big lead. Clemson game was close. So they're not that far away. This whole thing about ripping a league because their teams are eliminated, that's just stupid. It doesn't mean anything about the ACC. I mean, they played games and they lost. They had one team, Duke, the best team when they were healthy in the country. Just bad. Just bad. That's a very good point, Tebow. High Point did something Tech didn't. That's a very, very good point. Very good point. You did. You did, Anthony. And I was pulling like heck for the Ville. I was. I wanted them to I wanted the Ville to do something in that game. I was pulling for them. But they did hang in there. And they could have won that game. So I don't know. Oh, and hey, let's not let it go unchecked. Of course, I turn on the Virginia Tech women's game, and I may be wrong. Of course, they got beaten pretty badly by Oregon. Tech, of course, wearing those patented black uniforms in the NCAA tournament. I haven't seen another school wear alternate uniforms on the men's or women's side. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody let me know. In any of the games that I've watched, except for Virginia Tech. There they are in those patented black uniforms. Thank God I saw many threads. People finally starting to catch on, asking the question, why is Tech not wearing their school colors? And I believe they're the only school that has a logo on the chest as opposed to your school name. I just chuckled when I turned it on and I saw the black uni. Oregon, who, by the way, started this whole trend many years ago with Phil Knight in Oregon. Phil Knight, Nike, he's an Oregon grad, all the alternate uniforms and all the crap. They wore their green and gold in the NCAA tournament where there's going to be more eyes on your program, right? Does Tech have on the Chicago maroon and the burnt orange? Nah. No. Megan Duffy decided that black was the way they were going to go. Someone make it make sense. I'm surprised it doesn't bother you guys more. If I were a Tech person, if I were a grad, or if I supported them, I'd be pretty pissed off that they worked so hard to completely ignore their school colors. But that's just me. Anyway, Radford women played tonight. They won their game, had a great crowd. We had the largest attended women's NIT game of anyone in the first round, over 1,500 people. And I know people might say that's not a lot, but for a women's NIT game that wasn't scheduled on a Friday night, that's pretty good. So they will play Arkansas State tonight, who had a bye. They're really good. So it'll be a tough game, but hey, they're still playing basketball. The Radford University women are the only team still locally playing basketball. At least, between Tech and Radford. Mike Young has raked in $14 million at Tech and not one NCAA appearance. Just a little food for thought. Yeah, Izzo's good. It's not a coincidence. They do. They're always good this time of year. They're always good this time of year. Always. But it's going to be a Final Four of halves again for the second straight year. We'll see. Which game is actually exciting on paper? I mean, they're all going to be relatively close because we're in the Sweet 16. I mean, Iowa and Nebraska is a good rivalry, but do we really care around here? St. John's Duke, we'll be watching. Patino, yeah, we'll be watching that one. Don't care about Alabama, Michigan. If it was a football game, I'd care. UConn, Michigan State, Tennessee, Iowa State. We'll see how the ratings hold up in the Sweet 16. We'll see. Yeah, March Madness is it's changed. It has. Not for the better in any way, shape, or form. T-Bird says, I enjoyed the competition of several weekend games, but thanks to the BS, the fluff, studio, cast, political agendas, March Madness, and they're not being shy about getting across their agenda. It's crazy. It's crazy how it just happens now. They just, they don't care. They don't care. But, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. The social media, the entertainment construct has always been used, I guess, going back to push certain agendas. But, boy, it's just so blatantly obvious now. But, you look at the Sweet 16 or any of those must-watch games. I mean, if they're on, we'll watch them. St. John's Duke intrigues me. Duke all beat up against Patino. That'll be fun. But I'm not sure about the others. But we'll see. We'll see. And on the women's side, I think it's pretty much holding chalk. It always usually does. I expect all 4 number ones to make the finals. At least Kentucky lost again. Yeah, they got beat up pretty good. And then they started a game last night in Florida at almost 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. Not sure how the CBS scheduling has evolved into what it has been. It got heavily criticized, but it's been like that for a while. These other folks that are criticizing it are just now like jumping on. And we've talked about this a lot on the show. I talked about it when I restarted the radio show in 2020. We get all excited about the first 2 days because there's game on top of game and top of game, and you just keep watching. And then you get to Saturday, and then there's one game at a little after 12. That's it. One game at 2. And I know they're doing that because CBS has the rights and they want to maximize the programming. I understand why. But it's tough. And then when you get to the later evening, then that's when they start clustering games up. Brad on the text line, our professional door text line. Yeah, I turned on the Tech game on Friday. I didn't know that was actually Virginia Tech till I saw the graphic. Oh, by the way, did you notice the graphic was also in black? We're going to have an announcement pretty soon now that James Franklin is there that Tech's just going to change their colors to black and gray. We're going to go back to I just don't understand how that's the decision. Somebody let me know if you've seen it. I know I didn't see it on the men's side. Nobody wore an alternate uni. Nobody wore anything with a logo across the chest. But hey, that's okay. Let me know when all that black Virginia Tech merch starts flying off the shelves. Let me know. So then you can condone it at least if you're somebody from the Virginia Tech athletic department. Let me know. Let me know the next time you decide to buy as a Tech fan, let me know when you're buying that black Virginia Tech hat or that black Virginia Tech basketball jersey with the VT. Let me know how much money you spent on that. I'd like to see you around the games wearing it. Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio here in Reiner, 540-200-8294. Email them at familyfencingnrv.com. McClellan Chiropractic, Mark Hundley, sponsor of our chat room. Thanks, Marco. Appreciate everything. Professional Door Incorporated, Travis Williams. Text line is a 540-391-0788. They've been around for 38 years. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, 381-8011, 300 North Franklin Street. Thanks to the NRV Super Bowl, 382-5525. You can watch tournament games and bowl. That's great. Put the game on the TV and just bowl. We had Stacy Compton on. I heard they had a great weekend. Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. A lot of folks went to that race or to the races on Saturday. Congratulations. They pulled everything off nicely from what I've been told. Awesome. Good news. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. The attorney, Ryan Pry. What question do you want? You want to watch? You want to put in there the Sweet 16 game you're most interested in? 701 West Main Street in Radford. Trust and estate planning. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me for 35 years and this program. ReadySetFund.com. Had someone reach out to me over the weekend. So, Bob, get ready. Ask him more about it. I said, ask Bob. ReadySetFund.com. Bob Chris, BOBCRIST 11 at Gmail. Your organization can raise some money. And Sundown Electric, one of the best reputations of any local business around. You can just read the reviews, superior craftsmanship, attention to detail. They always communicate the price, what they're doing, what needs to be done. Very honest. Congratulations to the Smith brothers. And thank you for all of your support, or I couldn't do the show. You're awesome. Awesome. Tech added a white stripe. Ooh, really? I haven't seen it. Tebow says it looks sharp. I love the maroon helmet. Nasty web on. Yeah, it's going to be nasty one. If you two can fit Tennessee Volunteers on their jersey and it looks good, Tech should be able to do that. Yeah, they should. Yeah, it's true. They had Tennessee Volunteers with the number. It actually looks sharp. Virginia Tech can't do that. No. We want to make sure we put this oversized logo that looks great on one item. We're just going to put it everywhere. I mean, if you're a Tech person and you see them running away from their identity as much as they do in terms of what they wear, it'd be like your wife sneaking out of the house, coming back with like a different hairstyle, or cutting off all of her hair, or and you didn't tell you. What are you doing? We have a relationship. And the thing about it, you're not doing it for merch sales. Like I said, you tell me, those of you in chat that are Tech supporters and season ticket holders and lifers, how much black merch have you bought in your life? Tell me. I know I did a tailgate show for years, and every time we'd sit over there for hours beforehand, during the show, and hang out after, I never saw one item of someone just coming up in a black Tech polo or a black hat or jacket. It's always, I know, call me crazy, but it was always maroon and or orange. Oh, wait a minute, because that's actually their colors. But there they are, national TV on Friday, showing up wearing black. Yeah, that's true. Do they actually still think, hey, it's intimidating? No, it's stupid. What it is just stupid. You know who can wear black and say it looked intimidating? Not recently, because they haven't been good, but it's the Oakland Raiders. Oh, I'm sorry. The Los Angeles Raiders. Oh, I'm sorry. The Oakland Raiders. Oh, wait a minute. No. Oh, now the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders and the Steelers have the two quintessential black uniforms. Nobody else. Especially the Raiders. Al Davis specifically said that when he designed the uniform. When the Raiders first started, they kind of were a black and yellow. They had kind of like a yellow in the early AFL days. And then Al Davis got involved and said, silver and black. Black is intimidating. Black is dignified. Royalty. And he was exactly right. The Raiders, hey, they might be a Broncos rival. The Raiders have the best uniform in the NFL. And they don't sway from it. They shouldn't. It's perfect. No, I don't like the all maroon. I don't like monochrome on anybody, not just Tech. I don't like that look either. Get rid of that god-awful orange. Yeah, and I hate the white helmets too. I'm with you there, Tebow. I don't like all maroon, though. Tech had the perfect uniform during the Mike Vick era and shortly beyond, in my opinion. And maybe that's because they were a national program. Maybe it was because of Vic, but I don't think so. They just looked really good. That little orange, but I'll tell you one thing, Tebow, the little orange on the Vic era uniform with the number, that was sharp because it was subtle. That looked really, really good. Maroon helmet, maroon jersey, white pant, and then you go play football. Or wear all white with maroon. It sounds pretty simple to me. And they looked great. Now, monochrome doesn't count. I know people are going to say, how shit like monochrome? We're not talking about traditional all white uniforms. That's not monochrome. That's just the way uniforms were. All monochrome is when you wear the dark, same color, dark jersey, dark pant. And I don't like that either. You look like a high school team. The Tech has an awesome uniform. And that's what I don't understand. They have the unique combination of school colors that nobody else has, and it looks great. And they insist on wearing the crap they wore in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Does it go back to what we've been talking about, that whole department, that nobody's overseeing it? There's no leadership to even care about that kind of thing? Terry asks, what about at Radford? No. And you know what? We've addressed this. We've had coaches that have wanted to order black uniforms, in particular our last two basketball coaches. And they've been told no by our administration and by our president. Because you know why? It's not school colors. End of story. We're red, we're navy blue, and we have white tints. Now, I wish the old tartan was back. We used to have green. So at Radford, we have the recognition of what we're supposed to look like. They don't in Blacksburg. Yeah, and maybe they do let the kids pick, but the kids don't pick whether or not there's a black uniform. That's an administrative decision. Penn State, Bama don't change. Simple unis, they don't change. Correct. Nick Saban even went off at Alabama when Nike came in. I haven't been able to find it, but it was back. It may have been in between when I ended the show the first time before I started up. But I remember Nike was trying to push Alabama into wearing a black uniform. Yeah, exactly. We had the New River City alternates because we related to what Radford's called the New River City, but we were still able to use Radford colors with the city color, the little lighter blue, because that was the combination of where you're from. Correct. And you're still using your school colors. But I remember Nick Saban said, we're Alabama. We're the most recognizable brand in college football. Garnet helmet, jersey, white pants, stripes on the road, garnet helmet, white and white. Nike, go to hell. Last time I checked, people were probably buying Alabama merch. Yeah, I'm with you, Tebow. Those Penn State unis, those big numbers, the big block numbers, that's a good look, man. That's a good look. Tech wearing black is not a good look. You're going to see it twice this year in football. You're going to be so excited. All James Franklin has worn, from what I've seen in these early practice picks, is black. Yeah. You love it. They'll be posted on the game graphic. And people will put in there, oh, those are fire. Some moron posted the other day, I saw on X, the black uniforms that Tech wore against Boise State. Somebody said, these are the best Virginia Tech football uniforms ever. These should be their regular uniforms. I'm like, yeah, except for you're leaving out one little thing. That's not their school color. And it's just that whole mindset of the lack of recognition of it. I mean, our associate AD, Corey Duran, is our brand director. And he just, when those coaches would go to him about black unis, he said, no, hell no. Why? Why? Well, the kids, don't tell me about recruiting. If you want to do an accurate recruiting uniform, make it the color of money. You know, put like George Washington and all the presidents on the uniforms. Then you might be onto something. Yes, but Thunder, they could play competitive football in their actual school colors. That'd be awesome. And they're forcing brand recognition that doesn't fit. Like the helmet into itself is perfect. That's why when Tebow said they've added the stripe, I don't like that. I love their helmet being the way it looked. Now I haven't seen it, and hopefully it's not permanent, but then again, they have how many different helmets now? There's not just one helmet anymore for anybody across the country. Everybody's got like seven helmets. I think Nike hates Tech. They know they have big influence. Anything Nike decides to do is wrong. Look at the NFL uniforms. Now the Titans finally got better uniforms. Falcons are going back. The throwbacks are the most popular thing in the NFL. And that's not by accident. But you've watched college basketball all weekend. Tell me somebody else that did what Tech did Friday in the women's tournament. The answer is going to be nobody. But I've been seeing a lot of those unis that look great with team name, number. And if it's a two syllable team name, how good it looks with that like the old Virginia Tech uniforms. The Tennessee Volunteer thing looked pretty good to me. I thought that looked pretty sharp. And they did fit it on the front. But no, we don't want to do that, Blacksburg. No. We're going to put big old VT. And we're just going to wear black because that's what the kids want. They want to wear black. Yeah. We might sell 6 of these. And nobody over there seems to care. If you watch their stick and ball sport, especially softball, they're going to wear black more than they're going to wear maroon. But hey, apparently that's okay with people. Apparently that's okay. Yeah, I don't like the white helmet. Not when you wear it all the time. I don't like it. I don't like it. All right, somebody sent me a picture of that helmet, Tebow. Well, those are the caps. Sorry, I'm getting my first look at the white stripe down the helmet. So Franklin wants to differentiate this. I don't know. I got to see it. I got to see it more. So basically what he's doing is recreating the Penn State helmet in Tech colors. That's basically what he's doing with the logo. Right? It's the same exact stripe that Penn State has in navy blue down their helmet. Thanks, Tebow. I just got it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Do not like it. So Franklin wanted to create his own look. We'll let you tell me when you see it. That's the first time I'd seen it. And I don't like it. My first thought is I don't like it. Exactly. The maroon helmet is, why would you sway from it? And now they've got that white stripe down it. It's the Penn State helmet in Tech colors is what it is. Okay. Phil Elmassian joins us, Todd Grantham later too. We'll find out how the first few days of UAB spring practice have gone. Talk about that. We'll talk to Coach Elmo about a myriad of things coming up. Anybody go to the races this weekend? I was told by many people that either went or heard that they had a big crowd there over at the Pulaski County Speedway. At Stacy Compton on Friday. They've been working really hard. So that's awesome. Yeah, Wayne, he loves the black uniform. Wayne thinks it looks great. Wayne says, I hate the maroon and orange, all black all the time. Wow, Wayne. Are there any adults in college sports? Yeah, unfortunately, they're all just getting paid and they don't care about their product. Yes. What did you watch, Prometheus? Did you watch the race? Is that what you watched? I watched it live on YouTube. What did you watch? Oh, you did watch the race? That's cool. That's cool. Good. Maybe Franklin was taking a job at PSU. Who knows? Adults in body, children in mind. Correct. I don't know. The tournament to me now is just it's Sweet 16, but we don't have to wait. The mid-major Cinderella. This is back-to-back years now. Yeah, we had a little brief moment with High Point, but you're not seeing it happen multiple times. You're not seeing pressure being put on constant. So now we're losing even the last great American sporting event. We've lost everything else, and then this is on its way out too. And when it goes up to whatever it's going to go up to next year, 76, 80, more, who knows? It'll all be watered down. There won't be any more bubble talk. There's just the assumption that you can lose 15 games and you're still going to make it in, especially if you're with a power league. Tim on the text line says, well, Wayne also thinks Poison's the greatest band of all time. So there you go. It was funny. I love that Wayne has such an imprint with the show that people are sending text messages about Wayne. That's great. You've made it, Wayne. Congratulations. That's pretty good. When we start Big Dog Pop, we'll make sure that Wayne's like a co-host of Big Dog Pop. That's what we're going to have to do. And Wayne, and by the way, if I invite you on to do that, like when we do the show, you have to wear all black. Since that is your favorite Virginia Tech color. We are Penn State South. Yeah, I didn't like the helmet. Maybe it grows on me, but I think the intention of what he's doing there kind of bugs me too. Like Tech's helmet didn't need to be touched. Creed and Wayne are the unofficial mascots of BDST. Yeah, St. John's could beat Duke, Wayne. Sure. I mean, they're not healthy. They've looked vulnerable. I mean, Siena played them well for about half and 5 minutes of the second half. Yeah, sure. That's about the only game that I really kind of want to see. The rest of it, I could be somewhere and get updates and go, oh, okay. Thanks, Brandon, I think. The all-black Panera T-shirt. Yeah, Wayne, you have to wear an all-black Panera T-shirt with an order of Panera while we're doing the show. I want to hear your teeth crunch. Coach Elmo going to join us here coming up at 7. And we'll get his take. He's been watching basketball. And I'm going to be curious talking to Todd to see how things are going there with spring down at UAB. because it's not exactly the same, but you get a pretty good insight of how things are going around at most places across the country. Panera Bread bricks. Morris has been here. Morris had his nice intro again. Morris is probably on the links. I know if I were residing in the Palm Coast, I mean, I would be. I mean, who all knows what I'd be doing? I really appreciate the contributions that Morris makes, considering he's down there. Right? I'd be distracted, is what I'm trying to say, in the Palm Coast. Very, very distracted. So I appreciate him even chiming in when he does. It's great. It's great. All right, let me get Coach Elmo on here. See what he's been keeping up with this weekend. And what's going on with him. You know, I'm going to ask him about unis. You've called me the uniform police. Why does Virginia Tech hate its identity as much as it does? Why does no one in that administration understand that, you know, sports teams are an extension of the school? A lot of times it's used for recruiting regular student body members. Let's just show up on national TV and wear black. I do love my portions with a cheerful heart and love for my newfound BDST friend. Well, we're glad, Morris. Golf, Mai Tais on the beach at 6 a.m. Mai Tais on the beach at 6 p.m. Whatever it is for you down there in the Palm Coast. Well done. Well done. We're going to get colder this week. Again, one more cold week. I keep saying that. We'll probably have 6 or 7 more cold weeks coming up. Hey, Coach Elmo. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, Rick.
Coach, am I overreacting about uniforms? I can't stand it when schools completely lose their identity over uniforms. What do you think?
Absolutely not. No. It's sad when you see it. You know, I think I've made the statement before. You put that uniform on, I remember myself even as a player, especially at Ferrum, where all the kids before us, players before I was there, the sweat and toil and national championships they brought to the program, you were representing them as soon as that uniform over those shoulder pads. When you hit that field, you're representing the university. And those are the two most important things about a uniform that were to me as a player.
Yeah.
As I felt, you know, from that perspective. So it's a slap in the face. But that's, you know, money, Nike.
Yeah.
You know, maybe sometimes they may not have the decision because they're under contracts and the monies that they get that they stipulate, okay, you're going to have to do this, you're going to have to do that. Unless you're a Nick Saban or an Alabama, I do think it tells you which programs can operate from a position of strength.
Yeah, right.
Which to me has always been another Coach Sabanism in a staff meeting, always operate from a position of strength. And what's best for your because you know what's best for your program from that perspective. And that tells me that they don't. Who's ever and how they made that decision. So
yeah, it's like they just shrug. We're told you're going to wear this. Okay, that's fine. Let's just do that.
Because the money, Rick, the money. those uniforms now, they don't have to pay for them like they used to years or decades ago. They couldn't afford to change the jerseys if they wanted to, with the different helmets. It's all free.
Yeah,
it's part of the contract.
Part of the deal, right? It's part of the deal.
About that too. It's also your deal. You make the deal with the devil. The head coach's salaries are all based on, part of that salary is based on the Nike, Adidas, things of that nature. And so you make a deal with the devil.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, from a tech perspective, it looks really bad. I don't care. The black and the VT, just wear, just.
It's god awful. No,
it's bad.
Again, I'm no alumni. I didn't go to school there, didn't play there, coached enough there, and hard enough, and put my time in. I'm embarrassed when I see it. To be honest,
because you're part of it. You're part of it. You're part of that era. You know all about what tech. Yeah, exactly.
Two tours of duty, Rick. Won 10 games in 86 and got fired from the place. I still love it.
It bothers me more in college because in the NFL, it is what it is. Pro sports, okay, whatever. But your school colors, it's listed as like the third thing. If you go to a school bio, here are our official colors. We take so much pride in. We release materials academically in our school colors. This is what our school, and yet they wear black whenever they can. Just whatever they want.
Greg Roberts informed me that used to be their school colors, black and gray. Was that correct?
Back when they first started, but that's not why they're doing it now. They're not throwbacks, though. Yeah.
I get it, but I think the point being is, okay, fine, go back. If that's what you want, go back to black and gray.
That's true. Yeah, get rid of the more orange and maroon and just wear the black and gray. Yeah,
come on.
Why not?
Who are you? It's the identity part. Who are you? And what's amazing now with Virginia Tech, when I was coaching there, even especially in 93, 94, you couldn't give the tickets away. We averaged 35,000 a game. Probably sold 4,000 or 5,000 season tickets. I don't know, maybe wrong on that, but I know Virginia sold more season tickets than Virginia Tech had in those eras.
You're right. You could go, yeah. You could go game day. You could make the decision. Oh, I think I'll just drive over there and go to watch the game and get good seats.
I mean, unless it was West Virginia or University of Virginia, that stadium was never sold out when I was there. Never. And we were winning. We won. We were 6-5 and 85 and 9-2-1 and 86, and then 93 we were 9-3, and then the next year we were picked to win the Big East. We picked a second in the Big East, and we took it. We took second. We were 8-4, been to 2 bowls, and when I see what Virginia Tech is all about today with the Enter Sandman and the packed places, packed student body. There's always been a great following Virginia Tech. Even when I was coaching it, when I was playing at William Mary, I was always jealous.
Yeah.
We would play. Virginia Tech would come down to the Tobacco Bowl in Richmond, or when I was coaching at Richmond, or they'd come down to remember the old Oyster Bowl? In Norfolk, and and there's always been, and even in the basketball, the great fan following at the time. Much bigger than UVA from that standpoint. But they still couldn't sell the place out. And now what they've got today, and then they're coming in with black uniforms, it's not good from my perspective.
I'm with you. 100%. And it's not just Tech. It's any school that decides to subscribe to that. I don't understand. I'll never.
The deal with the devil, right?
If they were selling those, if I were seeing people buy a bunch of Tech black stuff, then I would understand a little more, I guess. But I don't see it. I have never seen it. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, what are you enjoying the tournament? The tournament.
Yes, I am.
It's been good games, but is the Cinderella era dead now? We've got nothing but power schools because the Big East is a power school in basketball. What do you think?
My takeaway was I was glued to the TV for the whole weekend watching the games. I think what you're seeing now is and tell me if I'm wrong. You tell me. You're probably more in tune to this than I am. The influx of the European pros. To me, it's like watching the NBA now.
No, it is. It is.
I don't know how many of those kids, are European kids. I don't know how many. I don't know.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
But
there's a whole lot. Yeah.
Names on the back of the jersey. It ain't Smith and Jones and a lot of them.
No.
If you saw Elmassian on the back of a basketball jersey, you'd sit there and go, he ain't from around here.
Who's that Elmassian guy? Is that how you say it? Elmassian?
Hey, he's Eastern Europe someplace.
Now, that's a great point. You do see the international. You're right. There's a whole. It's lit.
I don't know. Noah spelled K-N-O-W, Rick, in my terminology, but I just looking at these guys, and I mean they're like grown men. Some of them, literally grown men. And I think that is, and then the other two things I loved. The two teams, my favorites, because of the coaches, Michigan State and Purdue. Especially at Purdue, he's still trying to do it the right way, get his guys, but he's got an influx of European guys too,
he does,
and some transfers. But when you see the portal as it goes and the influx of the European guys, I think the Cinderella teams are dead because it's not even close when you look at the discrepancy of talent with High Point and VCU compared to what's left right now. You got 6 Big Ten teams. How about that? 6 Big Ten teams. And they're all pretty good. They're not bad. They're all pretty good teams. If you're looking and saying, okay, how good is Iowa? Well, good enough to be in the 16.
Yeah, beat Florida. Right.
Beating Florida. So, when you take an Iowa that could go beat a Florida, then you got Michigan State. Who I just love watching the guys that are playing great defense.
They do play good defense. They do.
When you look at Purdue and you look at Michigan State, it's different cats out there. They may not be the most talented team, but wow, they play defense.
They really do. They really do.
That's my favorite. And then, St. John's is a great story with Pitino. I think Arkansas is a great story. Leaves Kentucky. Look at Kentucky now. Look at Arkansas. If Arkansas wins a national championship, you talk about, Calipari and what happened to Kentucky. That's a hell of a story. So there's some storylines in this season in the game in the final 16.
Kind of cool. There are. But I'm with you. I think I wonder, and I don't know. Maybe more. Maybe the international pay-for-play rates are lower. Maybe that's why we're seeing. But you're right. Since all this became the last 3 or 4 years, you are seeing a whole lot more. Even in the Big South. Even in the Big South, we see maybe a roster will have at least 2 guys. Yeah.
Every program. Virginia. Look at Virginia with the De Ridder kid. He's from Belgium.
Yeah.
My question is what high schools did they play for?
Yeah.
Were they in that G League for 2 or 3 years?
Right.
That's what I would want to know. How many of those guys, what is the percentage of the European player and what is the percentage of the professional talent, the pros that are playing college basketball now? So I think years and years ago, it used to be easier to go to Europe and find a player because, the blue bloods, they'd go to those Nike camps.
Yeah. Yep.
There's only so many cats that can go around. The next thing you know, they'll go over to Europe and find a cat because they can't compete in in the United States. Now it's let's go. Let's scout. The NBA is a global deal now.
It is,
without a doubt, and it's not that it's bad. That doesn't make it bad.
No,
I don't care. I just But if they're 23, 24 years old, freshmen, I'd have a little issue with that.
We might be headed there one day. We might be headed there at some point.
That's why I think you're seeing this final 16 is it's as NBA-ish as you could want to have in terms of the talents. Any one of those teams left can win the national championship.
Oh, sure.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Just about any one of them. When you're looking at them, and you know what, to me, looking at the separation, Rick, who's jacking the 3 points, who's making them and who's not. Who is physical on the inside paint? Who's more physical on both ends of the court inside? And let me tell you, I've never seen any shot anybody's making. I would say if there's 10 shots taken in a game, 7 times that shooter's going to the ground.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I've never seen anything like that before. That's so physical. I mean, it is such a physical game now. The body slamming, bumping, and they used to get on Krzyzewski and Duke when they were hand checking them. Now it's chest to shoulder. What I see, it's just and I remember Tom Izzo. He's my brother's neighbor. My brother's anesthesiologist in East Lansing. Went to Michigan State, and he's my brother's neighbor. But it was funny, the story with Izzo, and it is true. When he used to play Wisconsin, and he would play physical teams, he'd go to Coach Saban and get shoulder pads and helmets and practice in them. That's apparently that's true. Whether I don't know about the helmets, but the shoulder pads for sure. When they were playing the physical teams, so I like Tom Izzo. I think he's a hell of a coach, and I really love Painter from Purdue. I knew him when he was an assistant when I was coaching there. Gene Keady was the head basketball coach.
And I see all these posts, shows you how soft it's gotten on X. They keep telling all these coaches, they keep isolating it. They coaching up their players, getting in their face, holding them accountable, coaching them tough. There was one out there with the Maryland women's coach, and she got into her star player. She was almost nose to nose. And people were posting, "Oh, this is uncalled for." These are people that clearly have never played sports before in their lives. I mean, this whole thing about how you have to cater, especially to athletes today that are making more money than most of the fans who are going to watch them play. Stop. Can we just stop? Right? There's nothing wrong with coaching that way. Nothing wrong with it.
No, let me tell you, the players, the really good players, your best players, they'd be disappointed if you did not.
That's exactly right.
Trust me. I guarantee you that. And then when that happens, when I watch it, whether it's football, and I don't care if it's professional or college, when I see that happen and I go right to the player and where's his eye contact? If that player's eyeball to eyeball with that coach, he's listening to everything that
right.
coach is saying and absorbing because make me better.
Right.
Period. You can tell when they're looking off to the stands, the body language. And sometimes the body language isn't good, but that's okay. I mean, that you be truthful with your players. If you've earned that player's trust, if you've earned it, it's got to be earned. Every day you got to go out and earn it. If you've earned that player's trust, you have the license to coach him as hard. I've always said this. One of the first meetings I would have with players is you're going to challenge my ability to teach this game. And that's okay. That makes me a better coach because, whether I got 15 DBs or there's, 30 defensive players as a coordinator, I would always tell them, you are going to challenge my ability to teach this game. And I'm going to embrace that because that makes me a better coach. Now, let's flip this around, okay? We are going to challenge your abilities to your talents and your decision making. It's going to be challenged. It's a two-way street, and you got to embrace it. This is going to make me a better player, and then we both win. So that was the very first meeting I had with players.
I like that. That.
We're not going to challenge you. If you're challenging their worth as a person, forget it. Forget about it. You're not going to last.
Right.
If you're going to challenge their courage, it's not going to work. So you never challenge their worth, and then consequently don't challenge mine.
Right.
We're going down. It's a one-way street. We're both going down, and once that gets established, and then you start, but you got to go out and earn the trust. Another Coach Holtz deal was trust, caring, and commitment. 3 huge. Can I trust you? Do you care? Are you committed? And you're asking, and I'm asking that about you. You're going to ask that about me. You better ask that about me.
Yeah.
I'm expecting you better. If you don't, I'd have big concerns.
I like that. Yeah.
So, when you get a Tom Izzo, or you get these coaches that are emotionally and enthusiastic, I call it being emotionally enthusiastic about the game.
Yeah.
And the expectations about the game and the player and his talent and his decision making. That's okay. And it's not personal. It's business. It's nothing personal. When it gets personal, like for me, it got personal towards the end. Time to leave.
Yeah.
I started saying, this is personal now.
Well, and I just chuckled at the people that are posting all this, trying to get sympathy for the athlete. They've never played the games clearly in their lives. They don't understand.
They got no clue if there's air or feathers in the ball.
Yeah.
You know what? And any athlete will tell you. Any athlete will tell you that that's a bunch of crap. The good players.
The good players. And the Maryland player, she was looking right into her face.
Oh, no question.
She was so it wasn't like she has well, people don't understand. They're posting all this. Guess who knows their players better than anybody? The coach. They have a day-to-day relationship, a day-to-day relationship. We don't. Nobody else does.
You got to know what buttons to push. And that's why, you talk about hours of practice time off the field. Like I said, Coach Holtz's favorites, if there's not a crisis, he was going to create one, because it's all about adversities. Dealing with adversities. That's what it's all about. And you got to create them sometimes in a practice scenario, because it's going to happen. The ebbs and flows of any game is just tremendous. That pendulum's going back and forth in terms of, good and bad. And when it gets to the bad, it's going to swing back to the good, but if you can't wait for the next game to do that, or the next quarter, or the next period, it's got to be now. What's important right now, and that's established with your off-field relationship with your player. When you can have the license, you got to earn that license to challenge decision making and challenge abilities, talents. You got to earn that as a coach. And I don't know this coach from Maryland, but I would say she's probably earned that right, and that player's better off for it. That'd be my take on it, Rick.
Well, I agree 100%. And that's the way I was coached. And people want to say, well, it's old school. No, you know what? If you're just, I understand you're not gonna go out and keep kids and players from having water. That used to be a punishment. You can't have water. You're not going to do that anymore. You can't. That got outdated. Or making them run to the point to where they're going to fall and throw up. That might be outdated. But being able to coach a kid or a player hard and getting the best out of them, that's never going to be outdated. If somebody's feelings are hurt, so be it.
The most important ability that anyone can have is accountability. That's a one word. Forget. Like I said, it's not hard. This is not rocket science. We're not trying to put the man on the moon or Mars or whatever. We're trying to win a game, okay? That's happened to be played with a round ball or an oblong ball. It doesn't matter. And that accountability, that's in the moment, not the next play, not the last, but in the moment, right now. You stay in that moment with accountability. And that to me is, the key to the whole drill. And that's something, what people don't understand, the work that does go into, in football, from January, when Indiana wins a national championship, that national championship was won in January. It wasn't won in not the January they're playing. I'm talking about the year before January.
Right.
That's when they won the national championship. Right there. Right then and there. Establishing the culture and the guidelines and those coaches, all the assistants and all the head coaches, and the head coach and his assistants earning every player's trust, and vice versa, that the players trusting the coaches. I used to tell players sometimes when they were on the field, particularly in practice, when they were making poor decisions or no decision, give me a poor decision with effort, it's got a chance. No decision, you're done. You're cooked. Okay.
You got no chance. Yeah. Yeah.
And what I found out more than anything else is a lot of kids, they wouldn't trust the talent that they had. And I would always have, trust your talent, trust your decision making. You got to trust it. You got to trust your eyes. Make one. Good or bad, make one. So it's the only way we get better. And failure, I've always said this, failure is a great thing to be around. Because without it, you are not going to have success.
Right.
For every one success, you got 9 failures. It's going to happen. It's the only way you really get to know who you are, what your talent is. Like I said, don't try to play anybody else's position except yours. That's another one. Kids don't trust their talent. Next thing you know, they're trying to play 2 positions on the field. So that was a huge thing with me. Trust your talent, trust your eyes, trust your training. If you will do those things, you'll give yourself and this football team a chance. And that's what we used to harp on like you can't imagine. That's what the challenge is.
Well, and with these kids now pros, that they want to be treated like pros with their financial gain, then they're going to be treated like pro. Coaches are going to evolve. The ones that will survive, that's been around a while, are going to realize, okay, you know what? Now I can coach them a little easier. They're professionals just like anybody else I deal with here at the university now. They may not officially be employees yet, but they are. I mean, they may not call them that, but they are. They're getting paid to play this game. So now kids are going to have to adjust to how they are coached, I think, going forward.
I'm chuckling because Coach Holtz, great offensive line coach, one of the best that's really coached the game on college and pros, guy named Larry Bechtel. Coach Holtz hired him out of Lee Davis High School out of Mechanicsville when he was at William Mary. The Beck was he recruited me out of Ferrum. And the Beck was hilarious, and the players loved him. Lou brought him to Arkansas, and he'd been with Lou for a long time. Then he got in the NFL. He's an O-line coach of the Green Bay Packers. He's passed away now. The story, he was a short guy. I think he played at Catawba. He was really short in stature, kind of a bulky guy, but short. He'd always have a cocked head, and he'd talk like this. He'd go, "Hey, Rick, what are you doing, boy?" So he's coaching the Packers offensive line. He goes, "Hey, you dumb son of a bitch, I'm trying to put money in your pocket."
There you go. There you go.
Just do what I'm telling you to do.
I like it. I like it. And that's what's good. That's the mindset going forward now. Right?
End of story.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, when I go down to New Mexico next week, that's really interesting. I can't wait to see how these coaches are going to respond to, I guess, the little hour or whatever clinic I put on for them. I'm looking forward to the coaches' response, especially the assistants, especially the young ones, because I've got some not necessarily old school ways, but things I still think that the game demands and requires that you do as a coach to teach this game. And But I have my last section I'm going to do with them is on academics, how they approach their student athlete on academics. And that comes, Rick, I text you, how about the NCAA hypocrisy?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
When you watch a national championship football game, did you ever see the letters NCAA at all?
No.
None. Zero. But how about basketball? Were they pumping themselves? Huh?
Yeah.
How about the NCAA shop? The NCAA shop where you could buy
right.
sanctioned,
right,
shirts and apparel and all sorts of trinkets, and they're selling that, and then all the student athlete commercials, and then the killer, they got the NCAA logo on the basketball. That's what I said to myself, enough. Stop with the hypocrisy. Come on.
It is laughable, isn't it?
Hey, basketball good, football bad. Rick.
Yeah.
Okay? Basketball good, football bad. All right? Just try to start football at Radford. Wait till you see about 3/4 of the people there go up in arms.
Oh, yeah, right.
I mean, really. When they started to do football at Old Dominion, I remember we always said as coaches, if they ever had football at Old Dominion, it'd be pretty successful because of the location, Tidewater. And of course, back in the day, those basketball people, that was never going to happen, but eventually it did. But no, that was a joke. The first time I have ever heard the discrepancy between Joe Tiller, when I was working at Purdue in 2003, we were just had a casual conversation. I don't know how it even started or finished. This is the first time I ever heard this. Joe Tiller's words, says the NCAA hates college football. And it was a time when basketball got everything. You could, this isn't a time we couldn't talk football. If we ever went on a whiteboard with a player in the off season, it was a violation. You got a couple of days for spring practice taken away from you. It was football was the most regulated sport of any sport ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Basketball, they got what they wanted. They could, as long as they were 3 guys, they could practice all year round. As long as it was just 3. So the basketball coaches, they got everything they wanted. Football kept getting regulated back in the day prior to the NIL portal. Oh, it's fact.
Right. Yeah.
You couldn't do anything, nothing. The compliance was always sneaking around trying to catch you with something, okay? And then, like I said, you got spring ball practice taken away if you were doing anything, So Joe always said, he goes, you know why that, the reason for that? I said, no. He goes, they don't get a penny from us. Not a penny. Of decades and decades of bowls to now this national. When do you ever see it? You don't see Alabama, the national championship teams with the NCAA logo on their jerseys.
No, you don't.
So they don't get a penny. Look at the money generated with the CBS contract for the NCAA that's able to pay for all the Division III national championships, all the other sports. Think about it, Rick. You know probably better than I do. That money's ridiculous. That contract is the NCAA.
Yeah,
but I thought the NCAA promotions was so hypocritical. Basketball good, football bad.
That's right. We stay away from it. Yeah, to your point. Yeah, and you're right. And compliance officers, instead of being there to try to help your sports teams avoid issues, they were trying to go, gotcha. I've heard that a lot too. Yeah.
And basketball, they could do whatever they wanted, and that's a fact. And the football coaches had a lot to do with that because they were never together. Back in the day, the Paternos, the Holtzes, the really powerful coaches. Like I said, the commissioner of the SEC could care less about Big Ten. The head president of Alabama could care less about Auburn's problems. they could care less.
No, you're right.
And that's okay. That's where they're at. No, that's why this thing is not going to get together. That's why they're all asking for the government to step in, because that's a total cop-out. Total cop-out.
No, that makes sense.
It's an indictment on the coaches, the presidents, the ADs, and the commissioners. That when you're trying to ask for government help to get this regulated, nationally, federally regulated, because you're dealing with states, universities of state universities, private universities, and 22 sports.
Yeah.
Jesus. Go ahead and regulate that, Rick.
Good luck.
Good luck.
No,
So
that's
now
a great
there are
point.
no rules.
Great point.
There are no rules,
No.
and now the people with the money, if you got oil money or you got tech money, you're going. That's it. There's two kinds of money right now: oil money and tech money.
Yeah.
Look at all the universities that are.
No, you're right. The technology money, you're right. It's exactly right. The oil money's still first, I think, because if SMU doesn't even need to have ACC profit sharing, they just say, we keep your money. We got enough. We're good.
If you got oil money or tech money, especially where tech money is going now.
That's a great point. You should be commissioner, Coach. You should be commissioner.
No. Hey, Coach Saban doesn't want to do it.
No,
he should be the one.
No. I mean, nobody can appoint one, because like what you're saying, there's no NCAA involvement in football. So it's like there's nobody can appoint one. It's like,
if you're a commissioner, you're going to have to be as Billy Badass as anybody ever around, because it's a lot of no, and you got to be able to walk in that room, operate from a position of strength, and that would be that job is almost impossible. It'd be impossible. Think about it. Dealing with who? Commissioners of each league, presidents of universities, athletic directors, and I'm going to don't even include the head coaches. They're never included in anything, especially in football.
Yeah, and nobody's on the same page. They're all over the place, like you said.
Coach Norton told me when I got into this business, coaching, when I started coaching, he told me, he said, you're a hired gun. You are no better than the custodian that comes in that office. You have no say in anything other than go win. You better win. He said, don't you? You're a hired gun.
Yeah.
When you rent your room, you're coaching in, your office, you rent it. It's rented space. And that's not being, it's a little hypocritical, sarcastic and whatever, but it's a fact.
It is. No, it's a fact.
Especially an assistant coach. It's tough duty.
Well, it's good stuff, man. We're going to talk to Grantham here in a little bit. I'm going to ask him about what he thinks about you being commissioner and see what he says.
Hey, I tell you, I wouldn't last a day. I wouldn't last a day. But I'm looking forward to the New Mexico trip just to see how the young assistant coaches respond to, not because it's old school, just because of, I think I'm going to touch on things that have really not changed in the game, but emphasize some things in terms of evaluations and dealing with the players off the field academically. I used to, but especially academics, which to me, I think you can get a leg up on your players by doing that today more than any other time, because I think a lot of coaches have washed their hands of it.
Yeah.
Because hey, the other thing too, Rick, I'll let you go with this, but think about this. Was it someone was saying the other day? Okay, the kid transfers 3 times. The average is probably, I would say, over 50% of your teams, especially in football, are transfers and probably are on their second to third school. Would you agree with that?
Yes,
100%.
Yes.
Okay, what you first of all, are they graduating? You never hear about the graduation rates anymore. You did never, which was a big deal. But let's say a kid has great success at one school, goes to another school. Is he going to be in 2 Hall of Fames?
I
You
know. That's why I
Yeah.
think senior days are kind
Senior
of,
day
we
is a
don't need to
joke.
have this
Yeah,
stop with senior
exactly.
days.
You
Why
know,
are we even
2
doing
Hall
that
of Fame.
anymore? It's dumb.
What degree is he hanging on the wall there? You know, I mean, it's just, you know, what jerseys, what school colors is he going to represent after a while? The last one. It's going to be the last one. So
I know.
it's a
Yeah. What,
mess.
you're going to have a senior day honoring kids who don't know anything about your school. They're just there collecting checks. You know, it's like, it means nothing. It means nothing to them. They don't, it's silly. It's just silly.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, Coach, have a great week, man. Good stuff as always. As always.
Well,
When
Grant,
when are you leaving? When are you heading out on your trip?
I'm going Monday. I'm flying out. I'm flying
Next
out to
Monday.
New Mexico Tuesday, out of North Charleston. Stop in Atlanta, then to Albuquerque.
Oh, you mean tomorrow? This Tuesday or next Tuesday?
No, the next one.
Next,
one.
okay.
2 weeks.
Okay.
And then come back that Thursday. Then I'm going to drive to UAB. It's only an 8-hour drive.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I don't want to, fly in, especially now. Flying's crazy right now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm scared to death next week going out there with all the delays and stuff. And plus, but I'm looking forward to it. Watching the practices, particularly UAB. I can't wait to see those kids I've recommended.
I can't wait. Oh, that's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
See if I still got a job.
I think you do. I think you're good.
Well, hey, the only good news was he told me these were the kids that were the second and third round draft choices, not necessarily the first round draft.
That's right.
And the one thing he did, which I thought was great, and I do think it was very consistent with the Coach Saban and particularly Paul Passer, the Syracuse programs, the programs that were NFL influenced, with Dick McPherson at Syracuse and Nick Saban with their NFL backgrounds, everything had to be ranked. You had to rank everything. You had to rank your players from the best to the least productive, 1 through 10. Because when a guy got hurt, his backup necessarily wasn't going in the game at Syracuse or for Nick. It's the next best player is in that game. Who's the next best player? He may not be playing a position, to a point, but but the next best players going in that game are getting ready to play that next week, not necessarily the backup.
Right.
And that's what Todd did a great job, and that's what he wanted from me all the time. Phil, I want him ranked. Evaluate him and rank him. That's what he wanted me to do more than anything else. So they could have a discussion.
Yeah, sure.
And cool. All right, Rick.
All right, man. Well, have a good week, Coach. I appreciate you, man.
I will. That was fun. I appreciate it, Rick. You have a good week.
All right, brother. Stay safe, man. Take care.
Yep.
All right. There you go. Coach Elmo. Great stuff. Talking on a variety of subjects here on the program. Todd Grantham will join us coming up. I'm going to get Creed out of the rain. I'll be right back. He's in rain mode here. Hang on. All right. All right. Good stuff from Coach Elmo. Todd Grantham here in just a little bit. He's a wet rat right now, Balboa. Let's get caught up with chat here. People say you can't blame the kids. That's right. You can. Yes, you can. Agreed, Prometheus. Because, they're not just kids anymore. They're professionals. They're getting paid a lot more money than I make. Probably that you make. Can't treat them the same. I mean, they've come into your school with the attitude, you're going to pay me. I'm going to come to your school because you're paying me. I'll go to class long enough to be eligible. But I'm not going to think about your school once my time's done there. You paid me well. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Basically, if you're a athlete coming into college now, you're looking at the school you're going to. It's just a job. It's just like a part-time job that you're getting paid a lot of money for. I keep seeing all these James Franklin recruiting, Tech's making inroads with these high school. I'm like, the only recruiting that matters is because James Franklin's going on the road saying this is the kind of money we have to offer. It's the same as Tech as it is everywhere else. Yeah, coach plays into it, but the coach doesn't play into it if the money's not there to support it. We'll talk to Todd Grantham about this coming up. Exactly. They're professionals. Prometheus. And they're going into it with a professional mindset. You're not all of a sudden treating them like professionals. They're coming into it with that already. They're a part-time job. Your school is now a part-time job for them until they find the next gig. That's what it is. Being a head coach at a school is like being a manager at a fast food restaurant. These are just part-timers. Working at a grocery store, managing a grocery store. Here's some college kids that are in for the semester. They're just part-timers. That's all these guys are. They're not lifers. They're not part of your school legacy. They're just hired guns. That's all they are. Let's stop with all this. Well, he's out there on the recruiting trail because, can we just stop? God almighty. And I'm so sick of people just using NIL and these national pundits and all these people. Let's stop. It's not NIL. Know your own definitions of things before you start just posting them. That'd be great. It's pay for play. No one is going to school at a certain school unless they're getting paid to their own contentment. How they have valued their own worth. Todd Grantham said every kid on scholarship's making money. Let's stop with this, looking at this like we used to. It just continues. Well, he's a good recruiter. He hired a bunch of good recruiters for his staff. Okay, what does that mean? It means nothing now. Okay, how much money am I going to make? Yeah, my position coach is great. He's a nice dude. What are you going to pay me? Oh, is that all? Okay. Well, I'm going to go talk to a couple other places. I'll let you know. He hired a staff of great recruiters. Okay. What does that mean? Doesn't mean dick. If you don't have the money to support it, it doesn't matter. Anywhere across the country. Let's quit all the writing and all the 247s of the world and all these places that still talk about recruiting like it's the old way of doing it. When are we going to when's people going to start recognizing it for what it is? These are now professionals coming into your school and they expect to be paid. And it's the only reason they're going there. Playing time, sure, that's important. But you got guys that come on the rosters that aren't getting paid. I mean, that aren't playing, that are getting paid, and they're completely content to just be practice guys. I know that for a fact because I talked to basketball coaches He came in here. He's not playing, but we're paying him. He didn't want to leave because he's making more money here than he's going to make. He's fine with not playing. Let's just stop. Can we just stop? It's just like using NIL as the terminology. It's like this. It's not what it is. It's pay for play. Why is there this big push not to recognize it for what it is? Why do we continue? Okay, you can accept the new way. And why do we keep trying to put titles on it that no longer, they're outdated references is what I'm trying to say. Well, he's a really good recruiter. Not if he doesn't have money in his pocket. He's not. He can reach those kids. You know what's going to reach those kids? 6-figure contracts. Let's just stop. This is mercenary time. It's all it is. That's why you had a record number of players go in the portal. That's why you're going to see a record number of college basketball players go in the portal. You think that's because of recruiting? You think that's because of loyalty? No. They're looking for the next payday. I've given you the story of Mike Morrell and UNC Asheville. He told me the story. Hey, knew this kid since he was 5. Me and his family we went on vacation together. One of my best friends. Recruited him. We had him basically penciled in. All right, well, we've got the small forward position taken care of because this kid, he's really good, and I've known him, and it's going to be great. Hey, coach. Yeah, hey, this is his dad. We've got a substantially bigger offer to go to this other mid-major, so we appreciate it. Bye. That just, since he told me that, I'm like, well, there you go. There you go. And I know it's an isolated case, but you can probably assume it goes more like that than this other way of, oh, we've got these coaches out on the recruiting trail. Kids are really paying attention. I saw that written over the weekend. I'm like, just stop. You want to adapt to the new ways without adapting the new mindset. That's what too many people are doing. You say you accept it the way it is, but you keep trying to, and I don't mean you, I just mean the people that are covering sports or looking at it and writing about it, still calling it NIL, not understanding what even NIL stands for as opposed to what it is. Kids don't care whether you're recruiting them if you can't pay them. It's not every kid. There's always going to be outliers, but we're talking about the major percentage of rosters. This isn't about trying to create a 3 or 4 year relationship with a kid anymore. This isn't about going to his high school when he's a freshman or sophomore, meeting the coach, meeting the parents. This isn't Coach Beamer and Frank and Bud Foster and Brian Steinspring and all those great coaches that could go out and recruit just because of the relationships. This is not what we do anymore. This is not what it is. Accept it for what it is. What's your budget? How much budget can you allot to positions you need? And guess what? You're going to have a hell of a lot of guys that are really good players want to come play for your school if all of a sudden you've got the money involved. All right? Hang on. There's a dog out here. Hang on. What's going on here? I had a big old German Shepherd just walk by my door out here. Huge. Has a collar, though. I just wanted to make sure it had a collar, wasn't just a stray. So somebody's lost their dog this morning walking around through the neighborhood. Want to thank the NRV Super Bowl, 382-5525, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. Give James a call at 540-381-8011. Sundown Electric, our newest sponsor. One of the best reputations of any business around. Reach out to them if you need some help and talk to the Smiths. They've taken their father's business and they've taken it to new levels. ReadySetFund.com with Bob Christ, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. Had somebody reach out over the weekend, Bob, so you're going to hear from somebody, I think. Thanks to Professional Door Incorporated, sponsor of our text line. Travis Williams text line is always blowing up. 38 years in business, family owned and operated. Go see them. Now a regional business. They have such a good reputation. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of this program. BDST fan question of the week. What are we going to come up with? Need to have it by tomorrow. The attorney Ryan Pry. You've been coming up with good questions. I'm going to let the peeps help. 701 West Main Street in Radford. Trust and estate planning. BDST is presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. Congratulations to Jonathan and Tim and to Stacy Compton and everybody. From what I understand, they had a terrific opening weekend at the new track. The IHRA is alive and kicking and doing great, and that is awesome. McClellan Chiropractic, thanks to Mark Hunley over off of 155 Walters Drive, and Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios, 540-200-8294. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. If you want a BDST shirt, they are $20. $20. Prometheus writes, the 4-year player that loves the program. Yeah, exactly. It's not the program's fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's not going to be James Franklin's fault of kids. It's not going to be anybody's fault. It's just the way that it is. But let's don't try to create coaches in the same mold as they used to be, because it's not that way anymore. We'll talk to Todd about it coming up. You have to know what kind of kid you're going to recruit at what level program you are, but they're still going to want money. Do you think there's any kids out there that knows they can get money somewhere, that's going to go to a school that's not going to pay them anything just because of the certain school? I mean, you're going to have outliers, sure, but let's just drop it. Let's just stop. And I see all these articles, these recruiting sites, and these people that are saying, hey, you talk about making recruiting inroads. How? Oh, because they went and described the kind of cash they can pay, and if there's escalators, the incentive clauses, how the contracts are going to be written. That's all it's about. This whole relationship with recruits, and it's important to bring that coach on because of his relationship to this area. No, it's not. It's really not. I mean, if I was putting together a football staff, I would look at guys that, I would talk to them. That'd be one of the questions I would ask. You understand that, yeah, you have to go out and tell these kids what's good about our football program and our school. But at the same time, the second question that's going to come up, if it's not the first, is what kind of financial guarantees are we going to offer? I hear about it in the Big South, where High Point just reigns supreme. And they, of course, have a lot of money. They're a private school. They had the highest paid roster of anybody in our league, and it showed on the floor. In the Big South, every coach in our league told me the same story. We knock on a kid's door after we've set up a visit, meet the parents, or they already have handlers, even at the Big South level, and inevitably the first discussion is the budget that we have to pay players. Not asking about the type of offense you're going to run, not how you envision that kid fitting in. In the Big South, okay, so what are we looking at here in terms of dollars? If that doesn't meet, and I had coaches tell me this, if that conversation immediately gets off to the kind of start that they're not thinking in their heads, the conversation's basically over. You can just tell they start being disengaged. The kid might leave the room. Okay, well, that's not what I'm looking for. We're not going to be rude and kick them out of the house. Maybe instead of cooking a nice home-cooked meal for the coaches that are here, we might go out to, Burger King. So you imagine how that's magnified times a million with major college football and basketball, but especially college football. We live our version of it in the Big South, so I can only imagine how much that is propped up at bigger levels and what these other coaches are dealing with. And I know they make a unbelievable amount of money, but man, there's got to be so much more pressure on the James Franklins of the world and all these coaches, because now you have to become kind of a salary cap type of mindset when you're going out and putting together these classes. It's not easy. It's not an easy adjustment. Some guys are going to adjust more than others. And some coaches were doing it before it became legal. So maybe it's not that big of a stretch for them. I don't know. But that's what it is. Is there still room for bringing a kid on campus and letting him see the area? And maybe if he has an offer with your school that might be a little less than what the other school's offering, maybe there's still a chance you could, get them to commit if there's not that big of a gap, and then maybe you can offer incentives. Sure. But the days of thinking I'm going to bring these kids on campus and I'm really going to influence them to come here solely on the fact of what I'm offering are over. That's just the way it is. And if it's happening in the Big South, when guys can't even get living room visits, if the numbers don't match up, good Lord. Yeah, Prometheus, the Martin kid was first team all conference. Yep. But he really picked it up toward the end of the season. He did. The last month of the season, he kind of picked up his game a little bit. Yeah. Picking up his game every day is Coach Grantham, defensive coordinator at UAB. What's going on, man? How are you?
What's up, bud? How you doing? Getting ready
doing
to
all
practice.
Right.
Getting ready to practice here in a little bit. Yeah, man.
This is great. How's it going, man? You got going this how are things?
Day 3, last week was our first week, so the first 2 days were not in pads. That's mandated by the NCAA, so you have to have 3 days not in pads. They don't have to be consecutive, so the way we'll do it is we had the first 2 days in pads, kind of acclimate guys. And then the day before our last scrimmage, we'll have that as a padded day or a non-padded day. And we'll work like all the situations that come up, one-timers, like last play of the game. They need a field goal. There's 9 seconds left. So how are we going to defend that? That kind of thing. Last play of the game, they got to throw it to the end zone. Last play of the game from the 20-yard line. So we'll do all that situational stuff that Friday. But, last week, it was really an introduction to everything. I mean, if you think about it, all but probably 5 of our guys are brand new.
Yeah.
With the new staff. So then it gets into your introduction, your attention to detail, and then really talking to guys about how we practice and your expectations. I mean, I think the biggest thing now is you just got to educate players. Players want to play well. So you got to educate them on everything. So from the first thing we talk about is effort. So you really have to define effort. And you say, well, how do you define that? Well, basically you're talking about burst, speed, and finish. Okay. Speed meaning, once there's a noticeable change of speed once you recognize where the ball is going. Your speed is you're running at your top level. And then finish is you're finishing on the ball carrier and you play through the whistle. And we grade guys on that every team aspect that we have to see how many loafs we had. And then what you have to do, though, is you got to come back and say, after that, okay, here were some effort plays, here are some loaf plays. A part of that is not, the speed thing is not getting passed by a guy within reason, meaning if a linebacker's passing a corner, we got a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
to the ball.
right. Yeah.
So you have to do all that because at the end of the day, and I'm pretty blunt on it because I think the best way is to be truthful. If you're loafing, you're a traitor because that means we're playing 10 on 12. Okay. And the guys buy into that because the way you give up explosive plays is your ability or your inability to have seams in your defense. So that's the first thing we talked about. And then honestly, then it's how you practice. Okay. So you say like, what does that mean? Well, finish all plays, you stop on the whistle. You got to make sure that like up front, now we haven't had pads on, but like you got to protect your teammates and you got to stay off the ground. You got to play with your hands and your feet. And because when you look at our schedule, UAB is not on there. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have to compete against each other, but yet protect each other because we go into the season as one team. So we've got to make sure we do that. We got to make sure we're good around the ball with our footwork and those kind of things. Running to the ball, pursuit. And then anytime the ball is on the ground, we want to scoop and score. Even if it's like if they throw a lateral, a bubble, and the ball's on the ground, you scoop and score because you let the official tell us it's an incomplete pass.
There you go. Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know. So, and we actually had that happen the other day in practice. I mean, let the official blow the whistle. If he don't blow the whistle, you scooping and scoring. And then you got to break on all passes. Now, obviously, the back end guys are breaking. Now, as you break on a pass in the back end, you got to make sure that you protect the receivers. Like if a guy's coming across the middle, you got to make a decision. Well, we don't want to blow our own guys up. So you've got to be smart with that. Look, I know you could have made the play. You just got to have good judgment and you got to be able to, protect our own guys. And then, the way turnovers occur, because that's how you win games is turnovers, is when receivers or running backs catch the balls and they come out of the stack and they come back. The linemen out of the stack create more turnovers than any other position in the National Football League or college. So, for example, our D line would be rushing. Well, if the ball's thrown, give me 5 hard steps. I'm not asking you to run all the way to the ball, but I want to see a burst so that we can get you to burst out and be able to do that. And then we want to be violent and ballistic with all of our movements. We want to be explosive. So, I mean, you're talking to all these guys about these things like, what's your stress keys? You minimize your run pass conflicts. Well, how do you do that? Where are your eyes? You got to play as one and react to each other. Like we're not reacting to what the other team does. We give a shit what they do. We're going to celebrate our stuff. And we've always had this rule, or we've had it for the last little bit, is if there is an altercation, which can happen, usually the second guy is the guy that gets the penalty, right?
Yeah.
So if anything happens, you pull your colored jerseys to your sidelines. Okay. Because what happens is then you get in the scruff and one guy pushes a guy, then another guy's going to push another guy. And before you know it, then you got a brawl, then flags out, guys get penalties.
Yep.
So the rule is, so you just have to give them a rule. So the rule is altercation occurs, you grab your colored jersey and you go to your sidelines. Okay. So that makes sure you do that. And then the last thing is you got to protect our quarterback because it's just a quarterback driven profession anymore or sport anymore. And what does that mean? Well, you got to stay off his throwing arm. Okay. You got to be able to don't stop in front of the guy. You got to run by the guy. You got to make sure you stay away from his feet. So I actually have these and we went over these. We've actually went over them twice because you probably only get part of it on the first one. And then after that, you pick up a few more things the second time. So we'll do that. So we talked about effort, how we practiced last week. And then it's all about block destruction. I don't care what level you play, your ability to play with your hands and play with blocks and things like that. And then you start talking about tackles, angles on tackles. It's interesting. Like Pete Carroll, I think it was 2014, put a tape out. He called it the Hawk tackle. And basically, it's a rugby style of tackling, which I've used ever since 2014. And you basically near leg, near shoulder, you're a shoulder tackling team and you have a target, just like baseball. You got to have a strike zone. So your strike zone is basically the shoulder to the thigh. So at the end of the day, what you're talking about is my eyes to my target. Okay. And then I'm going to wrap and squeeze. And then once I do that, I'm either driving for 5 or I'm working to roll the guy and I roll to my leverage. And anybody that's wanting to watch like that tape, I think if you went to YouTube and you said Pete Carroll Hawk tackle, it comes up. It's really a good tape. And the reason I like it, and I actually show it to my guys, it's an NFL guys doing it. And then it gets into, oh shit, if an NFL guy does it, I can
exactly.
do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it was done really well by him and his coordinator defensively at the time. And it just shows, tracking the ball angles, And truthfully, on defense, there is a 12th defender, and it's the sidelines. So in other words, how do you sideline tackle? Because everything you do, we talk about is what we call a compression tackling team, meaning you have a guy on the right side of the guy, a guy on the left side of the guy. Well, I'm going to go near leg, near shoulder, and own my hip. And we're going to vice the ball. So everything we do is talk about compression tackling. Well, if the guy is near the sidelines, part of the compression now is the sideline. So there is a 12th defender in football, but you kind of got to explain that to guys and do that. And then we talk about creating turnovers, which today actually is day 3. So what we'll end up doing is we do a circuit every day. So the first day was like run your ass to the ball. Okay. And we basically were straining, and it would be 4 guys and there's only 3 cones. Well, if you get a cone, you're done with the drill. If you don't, you got to turn and you got to go to another 20 yards and you're gonna be 10 up downs. And what you're trying to do there is make people understand like your strain. It's all about strain and your effort to the ball. So anyway, the other day we did tackling circuit, and basically it's like in a minute and 10 minutes, ends up being a 6-minute period, and we go through different aspects of tackling. Okay. Today we're going to go through turnovers. Well, with turnovers, we do the number one way the ball comes out is what we call a top down punch out. Then from there, we talk about, raking the ball out. We talk about, sacking the quarterback's a little different because the quarterback fumbles more than anybody else because his eyes are down the field.
Yeah.
So anytime we go to sack the quarterback, we want to tomahawk the ball and take the ball out. Okay. And then you start talking about like chasing the ball. Okay. So we do what we call a circle chase drill, where there's 3 guys. One guy's running the ball, the other guy's coming to tackle. Well, the guy from behind, he's tracking the ball. And I'm going to go top down punch out on that. And then you got to talk to guys about how do you recover a fumble? Okay. Well, you have 2 rules on turnovers. One, if you're in a crowd, you cradle the ball. So you just get in the fetal position. But when you do that, you want to put your back to the offensive guy, meaning you always want to put your body between the defender and the ball. Okay. So we'll do that. And then we talk about scooping and scoring, which means get to the side of the ball. Okay. My hands go to the ground and I'm going to scoop the ball, but I got to bend my knee closest to the ball. Okay. And I'm going to scoop. Now we scoop when we're out in the clear, like there's nobody around. Right. So we work on scooping as a part of those drills. And from there, here's the rule though. You only get 1 chance to scoop. I mean, how many times have you seen a guy scoop and like bobble, right? Well, if you scoop and you bobble and you don't get it, go cradle, because the other team's coming for the ball. All right. So you're probably going to end up being in a pile at that time. So we end up, working on that and doing those things. And then really, football is one of those, it's kind of like languages. Like, we say Rip Liz, and somebody else's term, that means something else. We may say Ralph Larry, that meant something else. We may say a jam technique. So it's about learning the language of the defense. You know what I mean? Because you got to be able to communicate. And communication and loud defenses are confident defenses. So really, and that's one of the things we've probably been doing since day 1 is the communication, aspect of it, because language and communication is really important. Now we're going to get into what we call day 2. You know what I'm saying? I mean, second week. And in the second week, like today, for example, is the first day of pads. All right. So I am testing I'm testing your competitive toughness now. Okay. Before that, I've never said one word about, your physicality and things like that. Now we've talked about it and how you do it, but look, football is a violent sport, played with violent people. And now we got to talk about competing. Okay. And being physical. So we have what we call a CT grade, and we grade the guys every day on the things I just talked about, from production standpoint to effort, to penalties, to mental errors, all those kind of things. But now we're going to add what we call a CT grade, which is competitive toughness. So like when you talk to somebody about competing, you got to define it for them. So like competing is basically your ability to strive or gain or win something or defeat someone by establishing your superiority over the other guy that's trying to do the same thing to you. Okay. So I got to go compete with this guy. Now, the key to the drill is I got to compete every play. Okay. And that's where we talk to them about the mental toughness of the game. Okay. And that's probably the biggest challenge that you have with guys right now, is because the society that we live in, like guys have a lot of choices. Things are hard, I can go here. Okay. Things aren't working out, I can go here. But like, hey man, like what is mental toughness? Well, it's really your ability to do things consistent level. Okay. It's your ability to run hard when I'm tired. It's your ability to, hey, I got my tail kicked the last play, go the next play. It's your ability that, look, man, we got to go win the game. Okay. It's fourth quarter time. You got to execute in a pressure situation. It's, all of a sudden they burst out, they go fast. You got to communicate. So all of these things require your ability to execute in a pressure situation. So the way I describe it to the guys is like this: is like, in Florida, people put these hurricane windows in their houses, right, to protect themselves. So like, when a guy comes out to put the windows in, he'll have this window and he'll have another window, and it's like, okay, like, how do I know which window's best? Well, the guy putting the windows in is kind of like, well, this window can handle this speed, okay, and it'll be sound. This window can actually handle this speed, a higher rate, because it's like, what is your breaking point? Okay, because everybody has a breaking point, just like that window has a breaking point, and when it breaks, it's done. So at the end of the day, what you're trying to do, and that's why you kind of create chaos in practice, is like, as a player, what's your breaking point? Because you got to be able to function in duress. You got to be able to function in pressure situations, and you got to create that. You can't just go out and all that's going to happen. So at the end of the day, mental toughness is about your ability to have a standard for what your breaking point is, and your ability to get through things and be able to execute at a high level, based upon the situation. So that's kind of the emphasis really honestly today and this week, the mental toughness of that kind of thing. And then obviously now with pads on, like, we can actually thud the runner, and that actually helps our team. And what I mean is when we thud the runner, we're taking shots at the ball. Okay. Now, we're not throwing guys down or anything like that, but the way you win as a team is like, what's your turnover ratio at the end of the game? Because if you're +1 at the end of the game, your chances of winning that game go up by 80%. All right. So that means if they get 1, we got to get 2. So what we can do in practice to help our team is we can be physical around the ball. We can take shots at the ball, which helps our offense with ball security, and it helps us get the ball out. Now, we don't do that with the quarterback. You stay away from the quarterback. That's a different deal. But with runners, we're taking shots on the ball. That helps our offense with ball security, but it also helps us get the ball out. So, we'll do all that kind of stuff. And then, you know what, man, it's a great day. We're going to go out. We're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to work to get better. Because at the end, these kids want to get better. Like, they like football. I mean, I should say they love football. I mean, they want to play well. You just got to guide guys on how to do that. And I think nowadays you have to break everything down for them, because everybody's new. Okay. And you don't know what they've been told before, and it really doesn't matter.
Yeah,
This is what
yeah.
we're doing while you're here. So that's kind of what we're doing the rest of this week. This will be day 3. We'll go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we'll start putting some situational stuff in tomorrow, meaning we'll go what we call high red zone, which for us here was really from the 12 to about the 8, you know what I'm saying, or 12 to about the 6, I should say. And we'll kind of go in that range for how we call things. And then the next day on Friday, we'll go to what we call low red zone, which now basically is from basically the 3-yard line to the 6. And then once you get inside the 3, we call it goal line, which we'll do next week. So anyway, that's the situations that are coming up. And we'll try to hit those situations like 3 times over, like once a week from now on. And then that way guys get an idea for, hey man, here's the calls coming. The other thing is, from a defensive perspective, it ends up being the other thing with the defensive perspective is it tells you what plays are coming. Like, in other words, based upon where you're on the field, I can tell you the kind of plays that you're going to get. The other thing we'll do on Wednesday is third down. So we'll start emphasizing like what third down is. You know what I mean? And third down's a sticks element route, or sticks element down, meaning the distance to get a first down dictates the play that people are going to run. Meaning, if it's 3rd and 4, Well, you're probably getting a lot of anticipating man routes, mesh routes, pick routes, balls in the flat, quicks. Whereas when it's 3rd and 8, 9, or 10, well, they got to get the ball down the field more. So now their protections could change. So that ends up being like, where's the tight end? If the tight end's in the core, he's probably blocking. If he's out of the core, well, it's the 6-man protection because you got the 5 linemen in the back. And just trying to understand those concepts, because when the tight end's in location, well, now you can expect like more vertical routes down the field. Whereas if the tight end's out of the core or they're condensed in their formation, meaning everybody's kind of close, well, now you're probably getting meshes, stacks, free releases by the back and those kind of things. So that's what we'll do this week, from an educational standpoint.
Before I let you go, I sent you a graphic about a coach, and they were talking about, he's got all these recruiting ties, blah, blah, blah. And I loved your response. I've been thinking about it going back to my conversations with basketball coaches in our league and whomever I'm talking to, if you don't have the bank account to support you on the recruiting trail, you're not going to be successful recruiting in 2020.
Yeah, that at the end of the day, that becomes one of the top things. I think the biggest thing now that in my opinion that I see work, I know it worked for me, because we have guys on our roster that actually took less money to come here. Now I'm not saying a lot less, but I'm saying if it's even or close,
right,
is still that's the only time the relationship comes into play. But I think the most important thing there is, how are you creating value for the guy? In other words, how am I because every kid wants to go to the National Football League. So how are you creating value based upon what's your vision for the player? How are you going to play him? How does he fit in your depth chart? Because it's all about playing time and money at the end of the day. And then those are the things I think that become important is the vision that you have for the player, how you're going to play him, how you can create value for him. So as he moves forward, he becomes more valuable. So I think that's the part of recruiting that, like it used to be, I remember it kind of changed about 10 years ago. Like when Fortnite came out and all these games, like dudes getting online playing Fortnite with a guy. I'm like, I ain't doing that shit. Okay. I just tell you, man, I'm not doing that, because I have responsibility to the players on this team that I'm going to make them better. Okay. Well, if I'm playing Fortnite with you, I'm not making our team better. Okay. Now I'll get on the phone with you. I'll talk to you. I'll do all of that. But my objective or my job is to create value for the players in our organization and to make them better. So like for example, I have a group chat with positions like outside backers. Well, I might see a good clip of edge rush, or I might see a good example, and I might even see it on Twitter, to be honest with you. I'll just click it, save it, and send it to them. It's like a 5-second clip. And it's just a way to educate guys, because nowadays you have to get 2 years worth of work into 1 year. So any moment I can educate a guy and teach a guy, I'm going to do it. So, that's where I'm going to spend my time. So that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, you kind of feel pressure, right? You have to get in 2 years and opposed to 1, because you don't know, it could be 1 and out. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Yeah. It's the way it is, though, and you have to be wired a certain way. Unfortunately, you are for these young people, and I know for Coach Mortensen. So that's going to be
cool.
It's
a lot of fun. I mean, like what's fun is we do this 4-H's, and basically they tell us, their hometown. Then they tell us who their hero is, and then they tell us any heartbreak that they have, and then basically at the end they want to tell us, like what their goal is, right? And it's amazing how important parents and just grandparents are in these kids' lives, as far as when they start talking about heroes and people they really respect. It really does bring back how important bringing kids up these days and raising kids right, teaching kids right from wrong, how important it is. Because I would tell you that 99.9% of the guys, when they get up and they start talking about heroes, it's somebody from within their family, parent, mom, dad, brother, grandmother, grandfather, that kind of thing. And that really kind of struck me just watching it, is you really have to educate these people from a young age, because what happens is without that education or that parenting, all of a sudden the kid's 18 years old, and the only way you're going to be successful at this level is with structure, discipline, accountability, and toughness. Well, that is hard if you don't have that kind of upbringing sometimes. And that's the biggest thing that I've seen over probably the last few years. And it's really hit with this year, as far as the importance of being in young people's lives, and your ability to direct them, educate them, and teach them, at a young age, right from wrong, good from bad, how to make choices. Right? That's what we're trying to do right now, is have guys make choices. You got to make decisions. Well, make a decision and let's go play. Just like I tell them, hey, man, if you guys call it defense, you call the defense. Call it, play it. Whatever you call, play. Make a decision. So I think nowadays it's trying to educate those guys. So that's one thing that I've noticed, just being around young people over the last couple of years.
I like that. Hey, next week I want to talk about that. We don't have time now because I want to hear about that trust to have your captain there, if it's your Mike or whoever it might be, to call the defense and that relationship. I think that's very interesting, especially today.
Yeah, it's good. Basically I can talk to him till 15 seconds. Now I'm like, look, dude, I'm not going to be in your ear. I might say, hey, like, here's our empty check, or hey, watch the shot. Here it's 1st and 10 after a turnover, plus 50. Watch the shot. I might give them an alert like that and kind of talk to them. But anyway, yeah, we can talk about that. But I've been real pleased with the way those guys have handled that, and then we go from there. So absolutely, we'll do that next week.
Yeah, that's cool. Continuing our football education. That's great. That's great. All right, man, we'll go get them today. I know you will. Right. Keep them healthy, man. Let me know. Right. It's going to be great keeping the progress of week 2 here. So,
all right, bud. Y'all take care. Have a good week.
All right, man.
See you.
All right, there you go. Take care. Good stuff from Coach Grantham. That's good, man. I like that. You think you know football, and then you talk to Coach Grantham. And then you're like, oh, yeah. But I do like that aspect of it right there. I really do. I like that trust. Hey, you call. We've gone over these situations. You have the knowledge. You get out there and call it. Go. Just go. That's cool. We'll get into that. You don't think about it as much on the defensive side as you do in the collegiate game. On the offensive side, plays are called usually for your quarterback, right? You're always looking in. Quarterback, even in the spread, will line up to the line of scrimmage very quickly, and everybody's breaking down, looking to the sideline. You see it, I see it in college softball. You look into or baseball too. You don't even look in anymore. You either got something in your ear or you got your wristband for a scenario. So I like the idea of just some guy being out there looking at the situational recognition and going, this is what we're going to be in. You don't think about it as much on the defensive side, but that trust there with the coaches, I think that's integral. Good stuff. Good stuff. But we'll talk to him. And Todd just said it right there. He may have a few guys on there that it was close to the same money, not quite, but they did make enough inroads with them to get them to come there anyway to UAB. There's your recruiting relationship. Don't tell me about a geographical area anymore. You might have a relationship with high school coaches that you've earned and gnashed out over the years, and you might be able to get a chance to talk to a kid and maybe offer them an amount of money before somebody else. That would be an advantage, but don't think that this is, it's just going to be a process where people are going to have to learn, and maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to adapt to the way it is, just like people don't want to adapt to pay for play. They keep using the term NIL, which this is not. Prometheus has done a good job of breaking that down. The NIL was one thing. Pay for play is an entirely different thing. NIL is not what this is. So let's stop calling it that. It's really kind of dumb, to be honest. It's lazy is what it is. Lazy is a better word. And I'm not basing this on just my opinion about it. I'm basing this on conversations with coaches who are dealing with it every day of their life, constructing a roster. Every coach in the Big South is looking at 12 to 14 new players. Think about that. And how are you getting those new players? What kind of money do you have? Why are you losing all those players? Because other schools, bigger schools, have more money to offer. Doesn't mean that coach is a bad recruiter, or they may have been the best recruiter ever in the old way. It doesn't matter now. Just remember the UNC Asheville story. Great stuff today. I don't know about you, but I could just sit there and listen to Coach Elmo and Coach Grant. It's just, to me, just like a sponge, man. I hope everybody appreciates it. It's great. I mean, you pretty much now, you can get a visual in your head of what's going to go on today on the defensive side of the ball with the UAB practice. Right? You can almost see it. And that's cool. And if you're a Tech fan, you can kind of equate that to very similar scenarios. I'm sure they're unfolding, in Blacksburg today or anywhere in the country. Thanks, Morris. You make it special as always. Good show, man. Distant observations from the sunny Palm Coast. I mean, it just helps. We think we know stuff, and then you hear those guys talk, and you realize, at least me, I'm like, oh, I don't know a damn thing, do I? But it really does. It because Tech's doing a similar thing, and wherever, Michigan, Ohio State, right? They have their own wording for it and processes, but it's very similar to the education. It's not just going out there and running drills. There's a method behind it. There's a specific thing you're setting up for the next day or the next week of practice. It's really cool. Yeah, I know. That's what I told Todd. Prometheus, I said, you've created a lot of UAB fans. I'll be pulling like hell for them. I will be. They are now my G5 team right there. Go Blazers. I mean, they got a dragon for a mascot, for God's sakes. And I don't know if Wayne's still with us, but, he and I both are big Godzilla fans. Now, it's not quite Godzilla, but I have a feeling it's pretty much based on that. Massive Godzilla guy. Go Blazers. I got a hoodie, too, I'll start wearing. Go Blazers. All right, everybody, take care. Great stuff today. Good start to the week. Thanks for all your support. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel. Please spread the word. I'll need your help there as well. And let's go. Let's do it. We'll be back tomorrow on the Tuesday edition. Have a great rest of your Monday, everybody. Stay safe. We'll